that Tic Tac video that we saw,
Mm-hmm.
which has now been seen worldwide hundreds of millions of times.
Yep.
Do you believe that that's man-made, or
I know
do
it
you
is.
believe that really?
Yeah, that's a Lockheed Skunk Work object.
Okay,
now-
let me no. How do you know? You said you said very definitively. I know it is. How do you know that
Well,
that's?
we have a military witness, and if you look at the disclosure materials that we did for the 2-day weekend on June 10th and 11th, that's also up on our website. One of the witnesses was in 1991 in the Azores and saw that same craft being offloaded off a C-130 transport, and his life was threatened because he saw that. We also have a sighting of the exact same object in 1967 near Wickham, Pennsylvania. There are witnesses that we have the report, and we have the drawing, the artist's drawing of it. Now, a lot of these objects that people are seeing, they're gaslighting the Congress and the public and the media, saying, gee, we don't know what these are. It's a sleight of hand. Like the hell we don't know what they are. Those objects that have been shown are actually footage taken by our fighter jet pilots
Correct.
of these objects, but they don't know. They're not read in or briefed on these rogue super secret projects. To them, it could be an alien craft, but it's not. And that's the other danger, because one of the things I've said to senior flag officers, admiral generals at the Pentagon, is that our conventional military could be caught flat-footed, not knowing whether something is it friend or foe. And here's the problem. If you're a general or an admiral or a commander or even a F-18 pilot, and you come across something like this and you don't know that it's man-made, and you take actions, there are all kinds of consequences to that. One of the Disclosure Project cases that came out in the 90s and early 2000s, that's in the book Disclosure, and on our website, the full testimony of this military guy was from the Atlantic Command. The Commander-in-Chief Atlantic Command, SINC Atlantic Command, Admiral Harry Train, was there when an object came in. This was like in '81, early '80s, came in from Newfoundland, and we scrambled jets all up and down the eastern seaboard. It was on 5 radar stations, and the order was given. He panicked, and he ordered to shoot that thing down after confirming it was neither Soviet nor ours. But what was it? He was not read into the extraterrestrial issue or the man-made ones. And he was going to engage in a kinetic, i.e. missile, firing. And he did. He attempted to hit it, didn't. It moved over the South Atlantic and then went straight out into space. But this sort of information vacuum, lack of knowledge by people in mission-critical operations, they're the ones most at risk, believe it or not. Ironically, the people most at risk with this secrecy are military and intelligence people not read in, and people in the government. So when people say the government is keeping stuff from us, I say, well, which government? The government Senator Inouye talked about, the secret government programs, or the actual mainline government. And I'm not talking about conventional black projects. I know the guys who manage the black budget of the United States currently. They are not read into this, or weren't. So this is a rogue operation. I mean, so I tell people, when you're dealing with something like that, that is a national security risk. Interesting, one thing I point out, and this is in all our materials, there was an early CIA director from right after Roswell, when the CIA was formed, named Admiral Roscoe Hillenkoetter. And Admiral Hillenkoetter, after he left that position and after Eisenhower left office, he wrote a letter to the New York Times, and he said, and I'm quoting, "The secrecy around UFOs is a threat to the national security." He didn't say the UFOs were a threat to the national security. He said the secrecy around it. That's a very important distinction. Now that went boom right over everyone's head in 1961. And here we are, 62 years later, now we need to start figuring this out quickly.
You said something that I want to tap into for a second. You said that let's call it a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, that Tic Tac video that we all see, that is man-made.
Yes.
Is it man-driven, for lack of a better? Are there pilots inside of it? Is it remote control? Can man even stand the speed and the propulsion and the way that thing has defied gravity?
Well, yeah, that particular one is thought to be unmanned, but the larger ones, like the ones that I'm talking about, that was the Marine ran across in Indonesia, and he and his 5 buddies were almost killed for just seeing this thing. That was 300 feet diameter, and it was definitely manned with pilots. And I know I have interviewed some guys who have piloted the man-made. Some people call them advanced technology, others call them ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, and those, what they do, imagine if you're an electromagnetic bubble, an electromagnetic field propulsion system, and it corrects for 1G. So in other words, you can be moving at 200,000 miles per hour, make a right-hand turn. Normally that would kill anybody with normal G forces.
Correct.
But the technology accounts for 1G. So you just don't feel it. So you're in this sort of electromagnetic bubble. It's also why there's no sonic boom. These things can be cutting through the air. Now you would think you go past the speed, of sound.
You took my next
boom.
question from me. That was my next question. Why is there no sonic boom?
Well, the same reason. It's the basis of the technology itself. So you actually have the object moving in an electromagnetic field bubble that the air bends around it and isn't split. So a sonic boom is when the air is, you go through so fast, it collapses back on itself and boom, like after lightning, right? It splits the air and it comes back. So what these are, it just slips right through. Same thing with water. These objects can go straight in water and move through the water at enormous speeds because it creates this electromagnetic bubble, space-time bubble, which it's moving through. So it has to do with the physics. We understand this quite well, frankly, of how this is doing, how they're operating that way. But it also explains aspects of the phenomenon.